Hello, welcome back to the Outer Worlds Part 10. Today's video we shall be going back to back to Stellar Bay. We need to stop the radio transmission back there, and then we should go back to Hiram. Hopefully the mission should be completed. Hopefully. I haven't played in a few days, so yeah. I want that gun. I want to shoot it at my head, right through the mouth, right up towards my brain. Oh, here we go. Oh, touched his eye. Very good.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
Well,
New business turns up at last.
Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising
Didn't
model
I
would
tell
be
you?
a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
what?
You've often posed
Moisten
these
the
very
loins.
questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
Do I?
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Oh, he's
Noted.
a dickhead. Nice.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? Oh. I suppose that means you aren't here for the Saltuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional, erotic, and athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
I don't... Dang it, Captain, that's not right. Folks on Monarch shouldn't have to suffer just because the board says so.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious. Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour.
Indeed. Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
A lot of good that'll do. They'll just find another reason to turn tail and abandon you.
Not if we secure the proper safeguards first.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting with the Bolt 52, we won't need to advertise anymore. We can stop our transmissions altogether.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. In the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. These days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Help! Someone's been killed!
Someone's been killed. Oh my god. I'd love to be killed. I'd love to be shot dead in the middle of the street. Be beautiful. Okay, now what are they gonna say? Okay.
I don't know what it is, but my gun's been acting funny. Used to be, I had to correct for a bit of leftward drag. Got used to standing just so, and...
Back again.
Where were we?
See if there's anything.
Used to be, I had to correct for a bit of leftward drag. Got used to standing just so, and after a while, it put a thorn in my side, something awful. Lately, though, it ain't pulling. I find my stance much improved.
Oh, that's real good to hear. It took me a while to... never mind.
What? Girl, have you been Here they come! Here they come! Down they go! And we're alive. Here we go.
There is it. Surely it can't be inside there. There's nothing there. I don't really want to break in. It's a waste. I don't know, getting up or something. We're just gonna have to break in. Underwear. Oh, maybe it did. Probably it's okay. Oh, you know. Yep. Yep.
Huh? Hello? Hello? I hear boots out there. Wait, can rats wear boots? Oh, thank the Eternal. I'm Huxley. Hux if you're lazy. I'm
Oh,
stuck.
someone of them
My
said,
friends and I were scavenging here, and a
Huxley?
Mantiqueen showed up. Then Raptidons. It was a void-blasted mess. I ran in here and, now the door's locked. Little help? Phew. Thanks, mister. My buddy had a key, but I ain't heard him in a while. He locked me in here and took off. Probably got munched. So look for a dead guy, I guess. Or a rat. Maybe it's in a rat belly. Gross.
I'll pick it up. What? We have to go back up. Yeah, yeah. Wait, oh crap. Almost.
Phew. Thank you so much. It was getting all stuffy in there, and I was getting a mite lightheaded, and I think maybe I was gonna die. Now I'm out here, and I'm headed back to Amber Heights.
Still landing yourself in trouble, eh, Hux?
Oh, hi, Nyoka. You mind giving me an escort back home? Oh, you're traveling with someone. Never mind. Oh, sure, I'm a runner. I'm used to getting all dizzy and... Hey, who's your identical, slightly blurry friend? But I ain't got nothing on me. How's about a heaping helping of appreciation and respect? Ah, shit. I wouldn't have agreed to be saved if I'd known that. All right, here. Thanks a lot, mister.
Okay. Oh, this one got some more. Yeah. Okay, so now we've got the bolt thingy. Hopefully we can just shut off the transmission now. Get back to Hiram. Also, we need to go back to the Groundbreaker and get the weapon for Mr. Wells or whatever his name is.
Be careful with your new friends in Amber Heights. They're not the most reliable types. Anyway, what can I do for you? You weren't supposed to look. I asked you to delete it. Oh, yes. No doubt someone else was having a laugh at my expense before you. This has been my albatross, the great shame of my career. I give MSI everything. My work, my youth, my left kidney, and for years, I was a joke to them. In charge of a scrap heap of a city. Abandoned by the board and surviving only through the hypocrisy of our trading partners. I hadn't thought of it that way. But perhaps there's something to that. Thank you for that. Was there something else? You're just as rigid as the old executive committee. Why, we've hardly been able to get a clear message out until recently.
When Graham finally shut up.
It isn't easy keeping a town like Stellar Bay afloat, especially without the board's backing. We need that frequency to reach our trading partners. Indeed. That's why it's imperative that MSI be reinstated onto the board. And the first step is getting the Bolt 52. Oh, yes. I'm going to be up all night with this. All those blanks waiting to be filled, boxes waiting to be ticked.
Try to control yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Have you any idea how powerful this is? Corporations have been toppled with less. What a question! Bureaucratic micromanagement is the only way anything gets done in Halcyon, and proper documentation is a key part of that. For our part, a bill of liquidation/transfer Form 52 will protect our holdings on Monarch by temporarily assigning them to a pass-through entity once we drop our bomb on the board. Sort of. Really, we're just going to blackmail them into offering us a seat at the table.
But really, whatever gets you excited about the idea, it's definitely a firm middle finger.
That's what I like to hear. I have reason to believe that one of the other corporations is operating on Monarch, illegally and in secret.
Those bastards. Leave us to our perils, then come back just to reap what they can.
If we can find proof, I can use that as leverage to encourage certain powers that be to accept our Bolt 52 and reinstate us on the board. You really think so? I admit I've been hatching this scheme for quite some time. I just needed someone capable to help me carry it out. If someone is operating here, then Catherine's almost certainly supplying them out of Fallbrook. Perhaps she could be convinced to tell you where they are. Oh, I imagine you do. But as much as I love your can-do attitude and dangerous gravitas, Catherine handles all of our shipments. So it would be best if you could leave her in one piece. Is that how you people put it? Once you, subtly work out where this corporate facility might be, bring back proof of its operation. Maybe some nice letterhead. Or someone working there. That would do it. A foolproof plan if I ever heard one. I'll leave the execution to you.
I ever heard one?
Nah, I mostly just drank and hunted.
Why?
Soon as you stop to dream of other things, that'll be the day something sneaks up and eats you.
Don't fret. I'm watching your back now. Anything tries to eat us, I'll give it a mighty whack on the nose.
Well, I'll
Whack
be
on your
damned.
nose.
You watch my back, I'll watch yours.
Alright, let's see where we need to go. Okay, I went there. Okay. Can level up, actually. Dialogue. One defense. We wish to go one each. Wait, I'll max this out.
Time for a round of whist. Or a round of whiskey. Or both.
I don't like the way folks are looking at me, Captain. I got my sandwich. Maybe I could stand a little closer to you.
Want to make a run with me to Stella Bay? Boss lady told me to take the night off.
Pardon me.
Uh-huh. You blind, fella? Or can you not see I'm busy? Why is it every sissy pig fucker who strolls into my town
Sissy
expects
piggy
me to
fucker.
smile and shout awful friendly? Welcome to Fallbrook. Only
Why not?
nugget of paradise in this entire law-forsaken land. Like a void damn advert.
Catherine, you're as welcoming as ever.
Truthfully spoken, I do aim to properly represent my aforementioned nugget of paradise. I'll be sure to remember that, fella. Want to tell me what you need? Well, I'm half listening. Might be I know something about it. Might be someone hired my crew to blind drop supplies on the Northern Bridge. Might be they sure as shit weren't pirates. Now that I consider it, I ain't heard from my delivery team in far too long. Find them for me, and I'll pay you handsomely. If I could, I would have. It's my crew whose lives are on the line. Them dying's just bad business. If it's one that don't mind getting dirty, then I sure do. But how am I to know whether you're reliable, if not fully trustworthy? I do admire blunt honesty, so I'm willing to give a business arrangement between us a try. There's a Borst factory on up the way, run by a man who calls himself the King. Clive Lundberg, insufferable prick. That aside, it's a business ripe for the plucking. I want it. Clear as that. Stars, I hope so. Clive Lundberg, the self-proclaimed Borst King of Monarch, is swimming in profit and drowning in his ego. He's making the only meal to be had this side of Monarch, and I'm tired of ponying up for my dinner. I want that Borst factory, owner dead or alive. And you're the soon-to-be handsomely paid son of a bitch who's gonna get it for me. Guess you've got it figured out then. Good. Hit him where it hurts. In his gut or his production lines ought to make do. If you got brass knockers, you could shoot your way through the front gate. If you don't fancy getting shot to shit, you can try asking Duncan for a disguise. Might be another way in, assuming you're courageous enough to trek the sewers. Void if I know. Sometimes the simplest solution is the sweetest. I don't give a whit about the method or the means, just the end. It'll be more than good when you're finished. Maybe not for Clive, but for me and you, I'm sure. Oh, and if you don't fancy going in guns blazing or crawling through a sewer pipe, see Duncan in the dry goods and sundry building. He ought to have an employee ID in that stash of illicit goods he keeps for select clientele. May luck be with you, since I won't be.
Oh, I kind of want to crawl for the sewer, so we're going to give that a go. Terror ray. Yes, we're going to crawl for the sewer. Should be interesting. Don't mind getting a little bit dirty, I tell you. Get your hands and knees, have a little crawl. Okie dokie. Which way do we go? Yeah, this way. Genius. these and sell them. Oh, what's this? Okay. I'm gonna keep that. Oh yeah. Let's spend it.
Everyone all right?
Hello there. A word, if I may be so bold. Well now,
Hello there.
here I thought those mantisaurs had peacefully exited the...
Weston.
But you're a simpler explanation.
You're Weston.
Thanks for the assistance. Name's Weston. Every once in a while, I set up shop along these here roads. You find yourself in need of resupply, you come on by. Care to purchase a thing or two?
Let's see. I'll sell some shit. Two of them. Ooh, a hunting rifle. Why is that? One machine gun Mark 2. Ooh, 29. Let's see what he has to offer. Holy crap, to be honest. Oh, how the fuck are we gonna get over there? Oh, should have taken the other route.
I'd stake my reputation on this being an ambush.
We ought to see if anybody's still alive. They might be too weak to call for help.
You sell that. No, just can't tell where they're going. Going to the cave, obviously.
Okay, keep it quiet.
You just climb and walk into this at all. No, it's like actually disarmament. There's literally no way to disarm them. No. What the fuck? No way to disarm them. I could just shoot them. Why can't you disarm them? Retarded.
Stay back. I may be wounded, but I'm still armed. How'd you
armed
get
too.
past my traps anyway?
Oh, I barely fucking got past them.
Just remember,
Jeez.
I still got bullets, in case you get any funny ideas. What are you doing out here
Mhm.
anyway? That feels a mite better. Wish I had something to give you, but I gnawed through my last Spratwurst an hour ago. Cave like this makes a handy place to store goods or hide out for a spell. And the traps usually keep gawkers out. Nice to know she cares. Catherine had us making drops for some big-shot client out here. And before you ask, I don't know who they are. Or were. The whole point of making drops in the middle of nowhere was to keep their identity and whereabouts a secret. The Marauders knew we were coming. Rigged the bridge with explosives and everything. If they found us, my guess is they found the client too. Last I saw, they were heading back up the hill. You'll see it on the right when you get out of here. If you got the sand to go after him, I'm sure Catherine can reward you for your trouble. Me? I'm headed back to Fallbrook, just as soon as I've caught my breath.
I'll take your shit. I don't know if it's any good, is it? No. Got a better one. Okay, let's go. What? Enemy killed? Oh, keep it on the one. Ooh. Why does it keep doing this? Where do you have to go? should be able to get through it. Yeah. You don't have to go inside the building.
Please, you don't have to do this. Look, I didn't mean what I said about your outfit. It's very fashionable, I swear.
Gotta get over there. Maybe they're still alive.
Okay. What's this key then? Sticky bits. You're a sticky bit. Oh, the other questions. I don't fucking know this. Oh, loop gun. Nice. So we can head back now, right? Wait, hang on. Yep.
Did you have a sweetheart in Stellar Bay?
I had a fling or two, sure.
Thank you again for retrieving the bolt. It's every bit as complex as I'd heard, but I'm up to the challenge. Anyway, what can I do for you? I'm sorry, who? Ah, them. They're hardly a corporation. More like a jumped-up band of thugs with certain pretensions. The evidence I'm hoping for would implicate one of the board powers. Anti-Cleos, Spacer's Choice, UDL, someone of that caliber.
Not that we don't appreciate your diligence.
Excellent timing on your part. I worked my fingers to nubs, but I've finally completed the Bolt 52 form. I dare say it will be my second greatest achievement after the Reformations.
You're getting ahead of yourself again.
So I am. Do you have this cartridge? I knew there was something going on. This is exactly the proof we need. The board will have to welcome us back now. I'll transmit this data along with the completed Bolt 52 right away. After that, we'll sit back and quietly wait for the board to respond.
That means no more broadcasts from us.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2, but back then it was known as Terra 1. Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. MSI's leadership at the time certainly thought so, but there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. Ah, so you've heard about our prior acquaintance. I suppose you're right. Graham's always had a way with words. Strange as it may seem, I suspect he'd have quite the corporate career if he weren't so radical. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago. We both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely. Reforms are humane, but they're also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people right, because it's the right thing to do.
Here, here.
Correct.
That may not be the way the colony works, but
Yeah.
it damn well oughta.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
I want to be strangled.
I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship. Indeed. I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
It's straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments, by leaving a lot of people here to die slow.
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
But wait, what happens to the folks stuck on the wrong side of dangerous?
Well, I'm afraid the welfare of a few hundred people is too minor a figure into the board's risk assessments. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. What can I do for you? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff? Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
Okay. No. Okay.
Do you hear that? It's the blessed sound of radio silence, which leads me to believe you have sweet, sweet news for me.
I do.
Yes, indeed. I am back in business. But before we get down to it, might I ask how you handled the problem? In the end?
We did what we could, as best we could. Should probably leave it at that.
Is that so? I don't know how. The two are diametrically opposed and impossible to please. But it matters not how you fixed my problem, only that you did. I don't doubt that you are working with Phineas, but my contract specifies I relay any acquired information to the purchaser, and to the purchaser alone. However, to send the data, I will need your assistance in cycling the antenna's receiver, so I can input the needed adjustments. It's simple, truly. I merely need you to waltz outside and throw the lever to cycle the power. I'll key in the numerical adjustments from in here. Terrific. I'll be here, waiting with bated breath. Give a shout if the panel electrocutes you.
Oh, dead, man. Oh, we've been streaming for an hour.
Testing 1, 2, check, check. Sweet stars.
Oh,
But that is a beautiful sound. Can you hear me? We are a go for broadcast. Oh, and I also dispatched Phineas his data. Impatient prick. Worse, I'm now indebted to him for it. Now I'll kindly thank you to get out of my tower. Look, I am well aware that at times I may have the tiniest iota of a prickly exterior, but I must admit I have grown rather fond of you. As Nyoka can attest, I do not form attachments with many. Do take care.
Why, he told us to leave without flinging insults at our persons. He really does like you, Captain.
Captain! Big flaming thingy!
No. Ooh.
Black holes! Did you see that? Looked like a UDL ship. Based on the gunnery attachments, I'd guess it's one of the board's blockade enforcers, but don't cite me on that. Oh well, a pity for the crew, but I can't see how it affects me. Hiram? Can you hear me? Did you see
Can you
that?
hear me?
Architect saved me from swindlers and fools. Sanjar, what are you bloody doing on my channel? Did MSI or did MSI not cease broadcasting? Yes, but... Hiram. Hiram, are you there?
Fucking hell.
Ah, the good captain. The truth brings us together once more. Our salvation has come crashing through the stratosphere. We need only collect its weapons. Are you mad? That's a UDL gunship. You'd probably shoot your own toes off. Ah, I see you learned nothing while dealing with these buffoons. We could use the gunship's armaments to defend Stellar Bay, but we need its targeting module. Our message is so close to breaking free of this planet and spreading to the stars. Help us secure that module and we will save our colony. Listen, I don't care a single whit what you do, so long as you leave me out of it. Which means, get off my void damn channel. I'm more than finished with you lot.
Yes, I think we have to go over there, don't we? Finish. We've got to take a piss. What's over there then? I don't think we can get over there. There's a mountain there. Crap. Let's go there. I'm actually gonna end the video here, so if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and come back tomorrow for another episode, and I shall see you tomorrow.